Happy Thursday. Hope you're having a great day. I'm going to go live with Amber from the Holistic Health Nurse, and we are going to be talking about healing journeys and holistic health, plant-based living, and we're really excited for you to be here with us. So we're just going to wait for Amber to hop on and to come into this live. But before she comes on live, I want to make sure that you know that the Holistic Health Bundle is now available, which is an amazing collaboration of health practitioners and nurses and doctors and naturopaths and yogis and breathwork practitioners and people who are helping other people heal. And this bundle is only available for 10 days and it's $50. It's $8,000 worth of products, $8,000 worth of video courses and PDFs and all of these amazing things for only $50. But the only catch is that it's only here until July 30th. So we're going to see when she joins. And if you have any questions during this live, just let us know and we will be happy to answer your questions. But we are going to get Amber on here and chat about holistic healing, kind of our journeys to health and plant-based living, and kind of our contributions also in the bundle if you're curious about learning more about that. So Amber just needs to come in here. I see the great day. Hello. Thanks for coming on and joining me. Hi,
Hey,
how are you?
thank you. So nice to see you guys.
Yeah, so nice to meet you. And I am so excited that we get to connect because of this incredible holistic health bundle. And it's just so good and such a value that we're going to be adding to people's lives. So
Yes.
I see people are hopping on.
Yes.
All right. So, let's talk about our journeys. I think we were just chatting, what are we going to talk about? How are we going to help people, learn more about health? And you're like, let's talk about our journeys in plant-based.
Yes.
And what is your contribution in the bundle?
So I have a plant-based ebook called Healing Eats, and so that is in there. These are recipes that I have personally made for my family, for my clients. I still use that ebook as a recipe book for myself when I'm making meals, and so I'm really excited to share that. How about you?
Oh, that's awesome. So I did it's called Nurturing Nature. It's at the very bottom of all of the contributions. So we're down at the bottom, and it is called, it's in Nurturing Nature, Empowering Plant-based and holistic kids. So
Yeah.
I got our 6-year-old into it's a mini video course, and he comes on with me and we show a few different recipes and knife skills, and then we kind of I talk about in different videos about, the importance of grounding and gardening and connecting with Mother Nature and stuff like that. So even for people who are not interested in plant-based living, the recipes are delicious. And this whole bundle is all about kind of like what I feel like you and I teach anyways. And yeah, so that's my contribution. But, and I don't even really help moms. Like, that's not my ideal client, but I felt like moms need to know this. They need to know this for their children because it's our next generation, and all of us as moms and women are so overwhelmed in this life these days.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all just living in sympathetic state. And I'm like, wait, we got to get to the kids. We've got to reach the kids because
Yes.
if our kids are, if we're in sympathetic state, what are our kids living in? And I just really have it on my heart to help other people get off the processed food and the sugar and all the things that are just kind of depleting our adrenaline or adrenals. And that's kind of like part of my journey. So do you want me to kind of talk about my journey and then you can talk about yours?
That would be amazing. I'm excited about your contribution. I think that's incredible. I'm also a mom of 2, and I have a who's 5 and a daughter who's 12. And so absolutely, hands down, I think that it starts with mom, right? And then it trickles down to the family and your kids. And so that's a really awesome contribution that I think is really valuable. So tell me about your story to plant-based living and just how you have found this abundant way of life. I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to know more about your contribution too. I just like, you said healing and I'm like, wait a minute, we need to know more. Okay. For me, my healing journey has gone, it's been a while, it's been a long time. But I really, it all kind of started with going plant-based. That was like 14 years ago or so. And I saw a documentary and it was all about the animals at first. And then I was like, oh, the environment. And then came the nutrition aspect of it. And that's what I'm really obsessed with now. The nutrition and understanding the pleasure trap, because I was in it, Amber. I don't know if you know about like the pleasure trap that was written by Dr. Goldhammer and Doug Lisle. Understanding processed food addiction and what that's doing to our body, and understanding that at a very young age we have this, we're getting these new bliss points from our food. So like, hyperstimulation from added salt, added sugar, added oil. And when we combine the two, like salt, oil, or salt, fat, salt, sugar, or fat, sugar, when you increase them, it just doubles the serotonin, the dopamine hit that we're getting. But also, it's really overstimulating us and making all of us not appreciate whole foods as much anymore. Mm-hmm. And when we go to eat whole foods, they don't taste as good. And we always are going back to those processed foods that keep us stuck, not only stuck in, if you're struggling with like being overweight or obese, right? But also for me, I never really got to that point. I gained weight at a specific period of time in my life, like when 18, 19, but I was partying and doing all that stuff. But I really did used to live in the pleasure trap. I used to live in this state of constant seeking of the dopamine hit from food or from alcohol, or from lots of different things. But I used to personally struggle with eczema, terrible gut issues, which I'm going to be healing from for a while, because life throws things at you, and stress is a big factor with health of the gut and all of that. So anyways, that's an ongoing journey for me. But I had eczema. I was on medication. I was on Adderall for like years and years and years and years. I was on birth control for 15 years. I was on Zoloft for anxiety and depression. Like, I don't remember what else I was on, but I used to get hives, eczema. I literally thought it was normal to lay down on the couch and have a stomachache every time I ate, to feel tired after I ate. I got very super depressed. And once I started eating whole plant foods, and even though they did have maybe a lot of salt or a lot of maybe even some sugar, or oils, which we could debate about all day, I felt so much better, and I stopped getting hives. My eczema went away. My gut issues improved. My mood improved. My energy improved. And that was 14 years ago. And now I'm like on this whole different side of things, where I'm eating just whole natural foods in their most natural state as much as I possibly can. And it's just been an ongoing journey. But it's so much more than the food, Amber. I know you know that. Like, yeah. Now I've got my sauna behind me, and I've got, like, I do all the things, use cleaner products. And it's just been this whole evolution of holistic living. And now I'm able to help other people because of my journey. And I didn't realize how rock bottom I was at until I look back now.
Yeah.
So that's a little about my journey and why I'm so dang passionate about teaching plant-based nutrition, because I understand so much about it now. And also just mindset and holistic living in general, low tox living, and movement, MindBody Connection, and all of that. So what about you? Where did your journey go?
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. I think that
Thank you.
it's really important to share your story, because that's how we really help others to heal, and that's how we can shine our light and to really just bring that healing to other people. I think that it's really incredible just to hear how just plant-based has really helped you with your healing. For me personally, I see a lot of familiar faces here that follow me, and so I just wanted to shout out and say hi to everybody. Familiar with Anthony William, medical medium?
I am, yeah.
Okay, so I started out with his information in 2015 to heal fibromyalgia and rheumatoid arthritis. And that was kind of my biggest health concern. Was I was like, my quality of life was down the toilet. I was barely working as a nurse. I was really sick. At that point, I was off the standard American diet, but I was trying to do like a Whole30 thing and listening to what naturopath said, who basically told me to have protein with every snack and every meal. And I was just really confused about what to eat. And I was trying really hard and thought I was eating healthy my whole life. But it wasn't really until I started applying Anthony's information. I just wanted to feel better. And then before I knew it, I was totally plant-based, had ditched all the dairy, the eggs, the soy even, I ditched that, corn, all of these pathogen feeding foods. And my entire life changed. Within 6 months, I was completely pain-free. And within a year, I would say it definitely took me a year for my emotions to stabilize, just because I had a lot going on. I had a lot of other diagnoses outside of just the chronic pain. And then I started studying plant-based nutrition, and I went to eCornell to get certified in plant-based nutrition. And I help clients bring in more plants. They don't necessarily have to be plant-based, right, but I absolutely encourage them to like wait until dinner or later to have any animal protein. Don't have it in the morning, don't have it at lunch. And it's really beautiful to watch the transition, because a lot of people would just ease right into plant-based because they feel so good. And that's pretty much what happened with me. And then there was also that connection between understanding that pathogens and toxins play a role in the symptoms that we're experiencing. And so my ebook contribution, you'll see in there a little bit about my journey. And it's really just about getting all of the pathogen feeding foods out. So you could be like vegan or plant-based, but you're still having foods that could be not serving you and could be making your condition worse. And so like you had eczema, and that's really heavily rooted in toxic heavy metals. So getting the metals out is really important with that. Like gut healing for me, celery juice was a game changer. So I still juice that every day. I'm gonna do a day 9 tomorrow of the 369 cleanse. And so that's a juicing day for me, which I'm excited about. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of plant-based medicine. And of course, Anthony William, medical medium, his information, has absolutely changed my life. So, really exciting to be invited to be part of the bundle, because I just want to get his information out there more and a bit more of my journey and these recipes. It's just really exciting to see a lot of other stuff available in that book that can really help people, like with non-toxic living. And you were mentioning just like helping kids with plant-based nutrition. I think that's something that we should have in our schools, right?
Oh my God, don't even get me started. Yeah. I don't even send our kids to school. I'm just like, no, like, no.
Oh, do you?
because I'm so, I mean, we do hybrid homeschool. So he does go to co-op, and even there, they get Jimmy John's and pizza delivered
Oh,
for lunches. And I'm like, of course he's not going to eat that, but like it's still his success environment, and that's one of the pillars that I teach. And thank you, by the way, for sharing your journey. I definitely I think I have all the medical medium books too. I haven't really done like a strict protocol of Anthony's before. I think a lot of his information is wonderful and inspiring, and he has great recipes and all of that stuff. But I'm such a nutrition geek, so I like to seek out from tons of different practitioners and kind of put together my learnings. But I can't tell you how many people I've heard that have similar stories to yours, Amber, that have healed through the medical medium's information, which is amazing. And I'm so glad that you're feeling better. And do you know about the documentary called Code Blue?
I don't. I haven't heard of that yet.
Dr. Saray Stanzik, she doesn't practice medical medium protocols. She just eats whole food plants. But she reversed her rheumatoid arthritis, or it went into remission through a whole food plant-based lifestyle. And there's a documentary about it. It's amazing.
It's
Code
Blue. That's such a weird
code. Yeah, it's called Code Blue.
I'm a nurse, so that's like a really weird name.
Oh, yeah. She's a doctor.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a doctor of some sort. I can't remember what kind of doctor she is, but you should definitely check it out.
Yeah, she must have stopped eating like eggs and dairy and gluten and got off of all of that, which is the most you could do.
I don't know if she got off soy, which I think it's like that's something that I have gone back and forth with so many times in the last that's actually one thing I wanted to ask you, because actually like in the bundle I do have like one of our recipes has tofu in it, and believe me, I did not give tofu to Cohen for years, like the first 4 years of his life. Then I went to one of the nutrition conferences that I go to, and they were like saying how it's cancer protective. Now that's very, very different from pathogen. You know what I mean? Like totally different. But I'm like, I don't know. Even though it's, I think that if anybody is going to eat soy, like the best way to do it would be if it was whole, just completely a whole bean. You know what I mean? Like, but anyways, I put that in there because I feel like if for children, at least, and especially for moms that are like so fearful of like, oh my God, where are my kids going to get their protein? Well, tofu is actually a really good source. Beans though are a really, really good source, right? Like whole beans, but.
Well, definitely. Like, I think that the biggest problem with soy and corn even is just that it's all GMO.
Right.
And
so of course it has to be organic. And I put that in my recipe. I was like, only organic. If you can make your own tofu, that's even better.
Yeah, and I know this is a hot topic, especially with people who are plant-based and associate with being vegan. And I think that the biggest thing to understand is just, obviously like take the information and it's okay to just sort of like have your own beliefs, but definitely with soy, that's a big one. And it does, Anthony does actually teach in his books that it feeds pathogens. And so it's typically not something that I would recommend. But I think that eating it every day is definitely something that I would say, oh no, that would be a huge concern, is to try to keep soy out of your diet. Yeah. And then corn as well. I know that's another really big one in the plant-based world, but and just, you had mentioned oils earlier, which really resonates with me because it's very important to reduce the fat so that you can free up the liver and so that the toxins can be released. And so I think that's another thing that a lot of people are doing that they think maybe are healthy for them. I mean, I personally was told, I don't know about you, but I was told by a naturopath to take coconut oil shots every day and olive oil. So I was listening and just all this fat, thinking that it was good for me. And then I went through a ghee phase before that, where I was doing ghee on everything. And it's just like, you just go through the ringer when trying to feel better and you're listening to what everybody's saying. And from what I've seen with working with hundreds of people, it's like, just keep the soy out, keep the oils low while you're transitioning, and then you can start, you know, a next level of healing would be to take them out completely. You mentioned salt, and I totally agree. That's definitely something that you can get from your leafy greens and your green juices and celery juice and Atlantic dulse. Yeah, and you can slowly reduce your salt. If you're craving salts, your adrenals need a little bit of love, and you need more mineral salts in your diet, which you can absolutely do through a plant-based diet pretty easily.
Yeah. Yeah. And just like speaking of tofu, like I don't personally eat it.
Amazing.
And yeah, it's not an everyday food for our son either. And where was I going to go with that? Oh, for people who are like wanting something that's similar to tofu, they could always make red lentil tofu. Did you know about that? Have you ever seen that? You can actually like just cook the tofu and you can stir it up and you blend it. So you basically you blend tofu and water, and then you put it in a pot and you stir it up until it becomes really, really, really thick. And actually, I might put this in the bundle because I can add to my recipe document at any time. I might put that as an alternative for people who don't want to have soy,
Yep.
which is totally understandable. But you stir it up and then you put it in like a like a sheet pan, and then you let it cool and it coagulates. Like it basically becomes like tofu, and you just cut it up into little cubes. It's so good, and it's really high in protein. And yes, we are a salt, oil, sugar-free house. Not to say that we don't need sodium. Sodium is very important, but people don't understand that sodium is in whole natural foods, specifically in vegetables, and like you were saying, like green leafy vegetables, and foods that are really mineral rich. Even tomatoes have a good amount of sodium. And if anybody listens to like Dr. Furman, like he really is so funny when it comes to he's a big plant-based doctor. So if people haven't heard of him, they should follow him, because I don't even think he teaches about like to use soy or tofu either. But anyways, he's just makes fun of people. Like he's like, not to be me, but he's like, it's actually long-term exposure of our lifetime exposure to added salt to the food that actually creates little microvascular cuts in our endothelial lining, which lines our entire circulatory system. And, you know, whole natural foods should have it if you're eating an abundance of fruits and vegetables that have the natural occurring sodium. And for people like you that are drinking celery juice, like you're getting that sodium, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. I had one person, sorry, go ahead.
You're fine. You're fine.
I had one person reach out about a week ago that, you know, and this has happened over the years because I've been doing this for 8 years now, where they're just, maybe they were told by their doctor or a loved one, or they have concerns about too much sodium in celery juice. And that could not be further that your sodium levels are not going to be dangerously high just because you're drinking this juice. In fact, it's incredibly powerful. It's an anti-inflammatory. It helps to get rid of pathogens. There's so many benefits to it. And I've reviewed a lot of labs. That's a whole nother topic. Like I don't always go by labs, but a lot of my clients will share them with me, and I'm happy to review it. And they are 100%, like always in the normal range. So it's, that's a debate where celery juice is not going to, or even just a green juice, right? Or eating a bunch of leafy, maybe your goal is like a pound a day, and your salads and your smoothies, it's not going to increase your sodium level. It's actually what we need. The blood is made up of. We need mineral salts, glucose, potassium. Our adrenals need that. And that's what really helps us to thrive, is getting in that balance.
Right. And for those of you who are listening, make sure that you visit either of our bios to get the Holistic Health Bundle, because you're going to be able to get all of this information and more on your healing journey. I want to make sure that we mention that, because the bundle is only available for 10 days. And once it's gone, it's gone. And it's over $8,000 worth of content to help you heal, and to help you. There's a lot of plant-based contributions, which made me feel very excited about.
Me too. Me too.
Because I want to feel, I want to feel very aligned with what I'm promoting.
Yes.
And even if there are contributions in there that are not fully plant-based, just like you were saying, Amber, like it doesn't have to be all or nothing. For some people who are on a really crippled, like who are very crippled and need extreme healing, like of course we know that whole plants are going to be their pathway there. But even if it's not, 100%, like everybody's still promoting a much more healthy, clean, natural lifestyle, which is incredibly important on your healing journey. And like I was teaching my clients just this last Monday or this week, I was telling them about my journey, and about how I broke free from processed food, sugar, and sugar addiction. And that was not a black or white, like overnight type of thing. That was me taking strategic action and strategic step-by-step intentional moves to get myself there. And I had never thought that I want to live whole food, plant-based, SOS free, like, which is what I'm doing now, and I never thought that. And but what I did was I started taking intentional moves to make better choices. Like it started with me with like the sugar, for instance. This was literally over a decade ago when it started. Not only had I decided to go plant-based because of the documentaries that I saw, I was just like, well, now that I'm learning more about plant-based and watching all these documentaries and following all these doctors, it just happened to be that I was finding out a lot more about getting off of processed food. It kind of goes hand in hand, because like you've probably already said, maybe you haven't said this, but I think we all should know, vegan doesn't mean healthy. There's so much junk crap out there. And I even hate to say vegan anymore because I'm almost embarrassed, because of the junk and things that are actually making people sick out on the market. But I was telling my clients that, like, for me, it started with like, one of my first vegan cookbooks was Vegan Cupcakes Take Over the World by Isa Chandra. I can't remember her last name, but I was working in a bakery at the time. And I was also a Pilates teacher. So I would go to the bakery and I would bake at like 6 a.m., 5 a.m. Then like on my lunch break, sometimes I would run over to the studio and teach. And like, I was just like living out of I was like, what? Like, this is just, there's a disconnect happening here. And I saw how like toxic the grocery store, even though it was like a gourmet grocery store that I was working in, like it was just toxic bakery crap. So I started making my own baked goods, and I was really good at baking because I had worked at another bakery before that, and I was good at it. But I was like, okay, instead of buying white, just granulated sugar, I'm going to buy organic granulated sugar. That was my first step. It was still granulated and it was still white and bleached, but it was organic somehow. And then I was like, okay, I'm not going to get the bleached stuff anymore. I'm just going to get the white or the cane sugar, like just the granulated cane sugar. And then it went to like, I don't know, I probably used some monk fruit. I think I did use some like artificial sugars at some point in there, like sugar alcohols. But then I went to like coconut sugar, and I know that Medical Medium, like I think he like promotes that as a better option, right? And maple syrup, and then it was honey, and just more natural ways to sweeten foods. But for me, as somebody who is not just on a healing journey, but also on a journey of trying to break free from a long-term sugar addiction, for me, even sugars like honey and maple syrup, which are whole and naturally occurring, or they're at least naturally occurring, they're not bound to fiber. For me, if I have those, it triggers desires, like hardcore desires for me to go and grab for the salty chips or to grab for 5 more brownies. Like I just don't have that control at all. So for me, when I'm baking now, I'm using dates. I'm using whole, like if I'm sweetening a drink, I don't even use, like I have maple syrup and I have raw honey. I make medicine with raw honey. I make herbal medicine with raw honey, and I think it has medicinal properties for if we're sick and stuff like that. But for me, I just use dates. Like I blend dates with water, and I create a sweet drink with that, because it's bound to the fiber and it doesn't trigger that, like that pleasure trap, like I was talking about, that quick, that happy, like surge within my body. So that's just been part of my journey. And like it doesn't have to be overnight for those of you who are listening and you're like, oh, I really want to live more holistically, or I want to eat more plant-based, like, or just healthy in general. Like it's, for some, it can be a long time, a long journey. And I don't know, I mean, do you find that people, like your clients, have success with the quick change? Or
yes, it is definitely a journey. It's not an overnight thing, but the more that you can get into your diet just from eating whole fruits, bananas, any fruits, dates, like you mentioned, that's incredible. Smoothies, juices, you got to get the glucose to the brain. And then that increasing carbohydrates. So potatoes, sweet potatoes, winter squash, dates, all of your fruits, getting that glucose to the brain is critical. And that's actually how you get off of all of the other sweets. So for me personally, I used to crave a lot of chocolate and sweets at night, especially when I was dealing with chronic illness. Like every night, that's what I wanted. And my brain just was literally screaming for that. And craving those sweets too also points to the liver needing more critical clean carbohydrates, which is what Anthony calls it. So definitely what I see with my clients, number one, is just starting their day off with a smoothie, or if they can't tolerate that, then starting their day off with a mono meal of bananas or maybe even papaya, those things like that. It really helps with their sugar cravings and just getting close to the brain. It's it actually helps them really quickly to ditch all of those things. And then you'll see, like in my ebooks, I have some sweet treats, and I use coconut sugar, I use maple syrup a lot, I have dates like you were mentioning, and just having those alternatives on hand to kind of help you transition off of those is really, really helpful. I always say, just, you know what, like if your partner, let's say, or somebody in your house is still eating dairy, but you're ready to get off, then giving them like a potato cheese recipe that they can eat that's plant-based is an option, or at least having an alternative in the house so that they won't reach for that dairy. So just having a well-stocked kitchen, having those things on hand, flooding the brain with mineral salts and glucose is absolutely the key to help with cravings.
Yes, it is. And I was telling my husband, because, and hopefully he doesn't watch this because I'm throwing him under the bus right now. He told me a few days ago that he actually has been getting these, like, he's been going and getting these like coffee drinks with like the flavorings and the junk in it, and I'm like, honey, what? I'm like, you're stuck in the pleasure trap. And then he also said that he's been eating potato chips like in a bag. I'm just like, whoa, honey, what? I'm like, what is going on? Like, you don't crave foods like that. You don't crave caffeine and sugar like that unless you're undernourished, unless you are, like you said, you're not getting what you need. You're not getting the minerals. You're not getting the glucose. You're starving yourself. That was just, that was a little note to me that, okay, I'm whipping the juicer out and I'm feeding him juice in between lunches and dinners and stuff like that to make sure that we can get him off of that, because if he has like a clean juice, like, he doesn't crave stuff like that, and those foods can really, really get you stuck. And he and I we both had definite processed food and sugar addiction, like hardcore. So I know how he's feeling, and like it's been hard for him to get out of bed in the morning, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, and then he just divulged the truth, and I'm like, honey, oh God, like we need to know. There's better ways. But for those of you who are listening, we want to make sure that if you're finding this information valuable and you're inspired and you want more whole food plant-based recipes, tons of recipes, tons and tons of resources on biohacking and detoxing and liver support and gut health and dental health and mind-body connection and sound healing, vibrational healing, all of that stuff that you might think is woo-woo, but it's very rare, very real. The Holistic Health Bundle is in our links in bio, and you can get the bundle for only $50. It is tons and tons of resources, worth $8,000 for $50. It's unreal.
Right, definitely. Like my ebook is $22, and so that's just one ebook, and there's tons in there. I actually just spoke with someone today who actually has a photography course, if that's something you're interested in, or maybe you have like an Instagram business and you need to do photography, or you just want to learn about it to take photos of your family. She's actually the one who designed the ebook, and that's her contribution. And so that's amazing. I love the free home resource that's in there. There's a lot of courses that are really phenomenal. Yeah.
Did you say gluten-free home? Is that what you said?
Chemical-free home, like having a
chemical-free home. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you went through that too. I certainly did when I started cleaning up my diet and healing. Then I started looking at my environment, and that's really important. Get air purifiers in the home, right? And how not to bring all these solvents in the home. And so, yeah, I was really excited to see all of the plant-based ebooks. That was really what I was looking for. I would not have joined this bundle if it didn't, there were other contributions that really resonated with me. Now, there are some in there that I'm just going to say for my medical medium family that we probably would avoid, or maybe even a few like recipes that just don't really align. But for the most part, like there's a salad ebook, just so many amazing things in there that's really exciting to be a part of and to share with you guys. So
yeah, and just speaking to you, like, not to say that everybody has different teachings in the plant-based world, but I think it's a really good thing for people who do like fear soy, or for some reason want to avoid soy. Like for my tofu and broccoli my barbecue tofu broccoli recipe, I definitely want to get in there and just write down, hey, if you don't want to use tofu, make the red lentil tofu instead, and I'll give the recipe for that so people can get that. Can you hear me? And then sorry, you were breaking up a little bit. And then also, like, I do a pizza bread recipe in there. And I don't know, Amber, if you've heard of this, and I think that your clients would very much, well, I don't know if you would use this or not. This would be something that I need to know from you. We'll see, because it is, it's sprouted whole wheat. Would you ever consider doing that? No. You're like, no. But anyways, like, they could use any bread that they wanted to, or they could even just use potato slices, sweet potato slices, and it's really delicious. But I don't know, Mana bread actually might have wheat-free ones. So for people who want a bread that literally doesn't have like flour, it's like sprouted grains, they should look into it. I know that there's a millet and rice one actually that we really love, and I do believe that one is completely gluten-free, and it's delicious. It's so good. It's very expensive, but we get it.
They're all expensive.
Mia says no wheat. Yeah, I get that. I was like, wait a minute, medical medium. Yeah, like, well, totally. But yeah, we know no gluten for medical medium followers. But I think that there is a millet and rice one that's completely gluten-free. Yeah. So I think people should look into that. have you heard of Mana bread before?
I haven't heard of that specifically, but I do actually have a pizza recipe in my ebook that's in the
Yay!
So that is, I actually love making that and freezing it for my kids. So we have it option in the freezer, like really quick, throw it in the toaster oven. But a lot of people do potato bread pizzas, and so it's literally just steamed potatoes that are grated, and you just put it on a parchment lined paper and you bake it, and so it's just a potato crust. But yeah, there's tons of options. I've seen people do like a red lentil flour, and they use that as a wrap or as a pizza.
Oh yeah.
So many.
I have a video that was like one of my most popular Instagram videos, like, let's make a wrap, and it was just red lentils and water, and I actually do it on a sheet pan. I'm kind of obsessed with sheet pans, because even though we have one son, like I really like to batch cook. And this is because I used to work in the bakeries,
Okay.
and we would make things in, huge quantities.
Yeah.
And like, I got good at it. So I'm actually going to drop a recipe that is totally medical medium compliant into my thing. I just made it on the news this morning. I was sharing how to use like produce from the farmer's market, because we sell at the farmer's market. We sell our produce, and like if you have an overabundance of zucchini, it's going to take a lot of oats, everybody. It's going to take a lot of oats. It's going to take a lot of dates, just so you know. And it's going to take, do you use cacao powder or cocoa powder?
No, we do.
Carob?
It's really adrenalizing to do any caffeine at all. So what I recommend is carob powder. So roasted carob powder is a really good chocolate alternative. Now, not everybody's ditched the chocolate yet. And like, if you're still eating it, I totally, like, there's no judgment for me at all. But for anybody who wants to get off, that's what I use in my recipes is carob powder.
We love carob. Yeah, we have carob. We have raw carob.
Oh.
We have roasted. Yeah, raw carob is really yummy. It's like malty. And I mean, carob in general is malty, but it definitely tastes different than the roasted.
Okay.
So we have raw carob powder and roasted carob powder, and then we also have raw cacao and not roasted, just cocoa powder.
Mm-hmm.
But cocoa powder is actually how I got off of caffeine. Well, I mean, off of coffee. And we do know that cocoa has caffeine in it, but that was my way of getting off of like the sugary coffee drinks. I just did a little bit of cacao powder with dates and hemp seeds and water, and blended it all up in a hot water. And that was a really great way for me to reduce the caffeine and to get off of my coffee. And then I just use, carob on the days that I definitely don't want to have any jolt at all. And I barely use the cocoa, but in this recipe, I'll give the option to use carob instead. You'll need a lot of carob. You'll need a whole cup, so it's going to be expensive. I mean, eating healthy, let's not beat around the bush. Like it can be more expensive, especially for things like this. But we know that beans and potatoes are such a great form of really great carbohydrates, and they're super affordable and super cheap, right? But I'm going to drop this zucchini brownie recipe or zucchini bread recipe in there, which I'm sure you probably might even have in there, or in your book too. Do you have something like that?
Yeah, I have banana bread, and I have a French toast that's plant-based in this ebook.
Yeah.
Apple pie. There's some really good stuff.
What bread do you use, Amber, in your French toast?
I actually, for that, it's not homemade. I recommend Sammy's Bakery. So it's here in the United States. They're based out of Florida, and it's a millet vegan-free bread. I haven't mastered a homemade bread loaf, and honestly, I gave up on that. But I don't really.
I taught my clients in my membership last year. I had somebody come in and help us learn how to make gluten-free sourdough.
Okay.
I have still not mastered it. I use quinoa. She uses quinoa. I actually have had success using quinoa flakes to make a sourdough starter with. So she uses quinoa. I think she uses millet and some rice flour in there as well. It's a craft. It is a craft to try to get that gluten-free bread. Like,
it is.
And
that's what I buy for my kids. I personally don't eat it. I've been grain-free for a really long time. So if I pasta, I do like cassava pasta, which is a root vegetable, or this one.
Have you seen the green banana one, Amber?
What's that?
Have you seen the green banana pasta yet?
No.
Green banana flour pasta?
Well, now this is interesting because I have a birthday cake that I've made for my kids that has banana flour in it, but I've never seen the pasta. So I'll have to check.
It's new. It's from the Solely brand. solely.
I
Yeah.
My kids love their snacks, their
The
dry
little gummies and stuff like that. Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it's
Right.
really clean.
Oh yes. Yes. That's the only airport snack that we'll ever buy, because they have that at our airport. And I'm like, yay!
Right? Oh my gosh, that's too funny. We found it at the airport too when we flew recently. That's so funny. But yeah, I like Zen bee pasta. That it's a
Oh my
yellow.
God. That's like one of my favorites ever. It's so delicious. I buy that by the case. Like it's so silly how expensive the pasta is, but it's the best. And it's so high in protein, and it really does behave like a regular pasta.
Yeah.
You know?
It does actually. So yeah, if you have someone who's eating like a wheat pasta and they're open to trying something different, this is definitely a crowd pleaser. And because you brought up the protein, I think you had mentioned it earlier. I just wanted to say that, and I know you totally know this too, like we can get protein from spinach and all of our plants that we're bringing in, our fruits and our vegetables. You could, even if you decide to go like bean free or grain free, which I personally eat that way now. It's very rare if I have beans. It's very rare if I have grains. And you can actually use an app called Chronometer if you really want to track it. I typically don't recommend to clients to track their calories or to track all this, but really, like if you just kind of want to take a look, I think you'll be at how much protein you're actually getting just from fruits and vegetables and leafy greens.
Yeah.
Right? We don't need all the other extra added animal protein and all of that. In fact, just like in the hospital setting, when you have somebody with kidney disease, the first thing we would do is put them on a low protein diet.
Right.
And so if we have high protein and high fat, what it's going to do is it really bogs down the liver, it gets backed up in the gut, it feeds pathogens, and on and on and on. And so I'm all about, I don't know about you, but I'm high carbohydrate. I know you're high carb too.
I am totally high carb, low fat. And I really do, I do very much agree with you. I feel better when I'm just eating fruits and vegetables. And that's really the best for me. But with gut issues lately that I've had, like histamine responses, which is so bad. I've never had it in my life before, but we found out that I had viral overload because I had Epstein-Barr, I had megalos, whatever. Now it's coming out of my brain. Something other megalovirus or something, and then I had COVID 3 times. I started having like mast cell reactions, and the only thing that my gut could tolerate was rice, and I did not feel good on it, but I was like, I had to get calories. And speaking of anyways, I'm totally healing on that. I'm much better now, so much better. But that was something that I dealt with last year and into the beginning of this year, and I was like, wow, like that was not, I was not feeling well, and I couldn't even do the juices because I was having like having mast cell responses to like everything. It was terrible. But yeah, viral overload is very real, and that's something that you teach very much about. And I want to talk about the protein. Yeah, cytomegalovirus. Thank you. I don't know why that was jumping out of my brain. But I also had histoplasmosis in my lungs. Like, I mean, things were not looking good. Like, whoa. So, because I had like bronchitis last year, so things really were just kind of like my body was just unable to fend that off. So, lots of supplementation later, lots of detoxification, lots of raw living later. I'm much better. But I just want to,
And you have Anthony's book, so like you could get, where is it? Like cleanse. Oh, I have it on my desk.
Cleanse to heal.
I use this all the time, but like the protocols in these books could definitely help, like pneumonia, bronchitis. That's actually the streptococcus bacteria. So it's just really nice to have that as a resource, and you have it in your home. But you know what? We're here, and there's no.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, no, me. People were like, what's wrong? And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, I do a lot of things to take care of myself, but you're not invincible, or, you know.
COVID took me down too. It really did. So was 2 Christmases ago. I was shocked because I had felt so good. I had been healed for like 6 years at that point. I was feeling great, and it took me down for like 10 days. It happens, okay?
Yeah.
It took, like, you're human. There's no such thing as a perfect protocol or a perfect way to eat or a perfect healthy person. We're all exposed to the toxins in this world, and we're all exposed to the pathogens, but we also can keep coming back to like a healthy, abundant way of living and knowing how to get rid of these pathogens, right? Like herbs and supplements. I don't know if you know about the Vimergy, Vimergy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I have Emergy. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Lots of lemon balm and cat's claw and all the things, you know, like, and lots of oregano. I'm telling you what, oregano really did help. And just herbs in general. I make my own homemade tinctures a lot. And because we grow, you know, produce and herbs, and I've been finding a lot of, you know, one of my favorite things is lemon thyme. I know that thyme is great, but lemon thyme, if you guys don't have that yet, I would just go to Amazon and get some lemon thyme, the herb itself, and make some tea with that, and you could add it to your regular thyme tea. It just adds a beautiful lemon taste, and it's so good. I love it. It's so good. But we're just going on a tangent, and we could probably talk all day, but to kind of close this out, make sure that you get the bundle. And then also I want to just touch on the protein thing that you just mentioned with chronometer and stuff like that. I totally agree, and I teach my clients also to not track calories. We want to live in an abundant lifestyle. We know that if we know anything about calorie density, we know that the animal foods and the flours and the oils and you know, those are all higher caloric density, and eating starches like potatoes, and for those people who eat beans or grains, like those are still lower than flour and animal products and oils, and those are going to help our body on the healing process. But for people who are on a standard American diet or eating an excess amount of animal products or processed flours and stuff like that, that are higher in caloric density right now, and they transition to a plant-based diet and they feel good at first, but then they're like, I don't have any energy, I don't feel good. They're probably undernourishing, they're probably eating not enough. So I think that chronometer is super powerful, or tracking your calories just for a few days is a good tool to see if you're getting enough calories, right? And protein. So I think that chronometer also is a really great tool. So thanks for dropping that tip.
Yeah. Definitely not eating enough is one of the biggest things that I see, and just focus on getting your carbs in, right? Your fruits, your potatoes, sweet potatoes, all of that's really, really, really important. So yeah, I completely agree. Well, let's definitely wrap it up. I don't think we have any questions today.
Yeah, we didn't even ask for people to ask questions, but you guys, thanks for listening to us, and we hope that you found this valuable. Yes, eat your fruits. Yes. I mean, I've been eating just watermelons for the last few days, just because it just helps me reset and I feel so good. And they're so delicious right now. And I'm like, my husband, told him, can you pick up 2 watermelons? And he's like, I just did yesterday. And I'm like, I know, I ate them though. They're gone. Like I ate them.
So you should totally try cucumber, celery, apple as an equal juice. That's a really good way. If you ever wanted to do a juice day, that's a beautiful way to kind of nourish the body and have that every 2 hours. Celery juice in the morning. Yeah, that would be
it's Zen Bee pasta. Somebody's asking. Zen, the letter B, Zen Bee. And you can now get it on Amazon, which you couldn't get it on Amazon for a while when they first started. So, and then, yeah, you know what, Amber, I'll do a juice day with you tomorrow, and I'll tag you. I'll be like, juice, because I just got a juicer.
Apple, because that won't take your adrenals. So that's really important.
And I found, what did you say? Celery, apple,
cucumber.
Yeah. I find that cucumber melon juice for me and my histamine responses that I was having, and that I still sometimes have as I'm on healing from all the viral overload, that doesn't trigger. It's a little weird for me sometimes, but cucumber not so much at all. So I'm going to try that. We'll give it a go. And my husband is growing celery right now, so I feel like I've hit the gold mine. So.
Aw, that's wonderful. I love that you guys are growing your own fruits, and check out
The bundle.
I want to say Liver Rescue book has it has some histamine info in there. Definitely focus on your liver. I think I honestly think that you know what? Don't join me on the juice cleanse. Just join me and do celery juice every day. That would be so
Yeah, I have to work my way up with it. You know, homegrown celery juice actually tastes a lot more potent than grocery store. Like the celery, I've like, whoa, like this is it is very, very potent. So it is so strong. We could not, like, it was pretty strong. So, but yeah, you're right. It's just so good for us. So Amber, thank you so much for the inspiring conversation, and thank you so much for doing the bundle together. Like, I'm so glad that we got to connect because of the bundle. And for everybody that's listening, make sure that if you're just tuning in, that you go to either of our bios and you click the link in our bios to get the bundle, the Holistic Health Bundle. It's going to be gone on the 30th of July, 2023, and it is an incredible resource to help you on your healing journey.
I'm so excited. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for having me. And just if y'all have questions, just send us DMs, and you can find the Holistic Health Bundle in your stories, right? And in my profile as well. And just reach out if you guys just want any more information about it. We would love to chat with you. Thank you guys for joining us. This was really fun.
Yeah, it was so fun. Bye, Amber. Take care.
Guys, take care, guys.